All right. Everyone enters your life with a purpose.
Hmm.
It's interesting. That's an interesting one. It made me think about like new acquaintances and things,
Mm-hmm.
and like what do I derive from that person, or what are they maybe getting from me, or whatever it is. It's an interesting way to think about
And it can change.
people. Yeah, I think so. What do you think? You agree with that one?
I do. I do. I run into new people all the time who will tell me something that I hadn't thought of before, and the big change is being able to admit I hadn't thought of that before. But I do think everybody's got a purpose in it, whether in your life, whether it's positive or negative.
There's a quote in the thing here that says, "Allow people to come and go as they please. Most of them are temporary. People who teach you permanent lessons." That's really fascinating to think
Hmm.
about, like how maybe like I try to hold on to certain people, you know. And it was a lesson in 'cause, I run the gym, and I forget when it was somebody I put a lot of time and effort into, and they just left. And I had a mentor that I talked to, and he said, Gene, on a long enough timeline, everybody leaves.
Everybody leaves. I,
It's just that some have a shorter timeline and some have a really long one. But at some point, you're not gonna see them anymore. Like you gotta let them come and go, enjoy the time you have together, and then that's it.
yeah, it's just
Kind of deep.
and in and in our society where everything's built around the office or around the job or around everything else, um, you don't realize how transient it is until later on.
Yeah,
I mean, you could work at Blue Cross for 20 years. Well, guess what? It's been 20 years since that 20 years, and they don't think about you anymore.
yeah,
But you're sitting here thinking
it's
about
crazy.
you're thinking about them, and all the and finally you get far enough removed from it to where you see that, God, dog, I wish I'd have known all along that it really didn't make a damn as much as it
Right,
seems like it did.
right. I wouldn't lost all that sleep. I wouldn't have that much anxiety over it.
I
Yeah,
know.
right.
It's like when you sit around and sometimes you look at these second world countries, you think, God, it might be a whole lot easier this way than.
Sometimes. Yeah, I think about that too. Like the natives who lived here first, and we were like, you should live in houses. You should pay taxes and have plumbing. And they're like,
Yeah.
what is all this? We got to figure it out.
Uh,
Maybe they did. All right. No one is coming to save you. You own your life. That's just like, you know, shit my dad said to me.
I still don't know what he meant.
But like, that's probably a good one, to realize a little bit earlier on that like you want something done, you kind of need to like own it and do it.
Well, and when I think about somebody coming to save you, it's the satisfaction that you get from being able to do it yourself. I mean, if
Right.
somebody comes to bail your ass out every time, you're going to repeat the same damn
Yeah.
crap over and over again.
Right.
We've seen it enough. I mean, that's another one of the things, and you still see it keeps happening. And it doesn't matter how much I get up there and rail against it
I know.
and say, guys, don't do it this way. I mean, kids are just the perfect example of it.
That's where my brain was going.
I was thinking about not long ago about how, my son's talking about he needs a new car to get a house. He's newlywed, yada, yada, yada.
Hmm.
Has not asked me one word yet about what's a good idea for a mortgage or anything else like that. And then not last week, I read in the Wall Street Journal that nobody, like 90% of people, never ask their parents about any financial advice at all. I was like,
Mm.
well, there you go. I bet they asked their grandfather.
That's funny. I ran my own business for 15 years, 14 years. I made all the same stupid ass early mistakes everybody makes running their own business. Like all the dumb shit. And then I had sort of repeated some stupid shit. And that was the first time I asked my dad for like advice on business. And my dad had run his own business for a long, like, he'd run his as long as I've been running mine, plus the 30 years before that. You know what I mean? Like, it was like,
All
this
that
resource the whole
it's all right there.
why
Yeah.
didn't I
And
just like get some advice? Like, I don't understand that.
There's
Now it's a resource I don't have, and I'm
Mhm.
like, God, I should have been talking to you, a lot earlier, and he helped me figure out how to get out of some trouble and stuff. And yeah, why the fuck didn't I do that?
yeah,
It's a great. It's like
there's
it's
a
a great
good
question.
PhD thesis there because
I
I
would,
mean, like you're saying, the guy's
well,
he's successful in what he's doing. He's been doing it the right way, and everything that you'd want
or
to
at
do.
least he's made the same dumbass mistakes I have and fixed it.
Yeah, and he could tell you what to avoid and
Yep.
all that kind of stuff. But for some reason, which I didn't go any
Just
deeper than
don't.
that we just don't ask them, but we ask our grandparents.
Yeah, I guess you would.
I guess
It's
because
weird.
I guess because your grandparents aren't the ones that kept you from going to the prom because you made
Yeah.
four F's.
Yeah, they're not
Yeah,
gonna punish you. Yeah,
yeah.
maybe so. But yeah, own it, man. Own it.